Cobra Kai Season 4. Here's the official synopsis. Faced with a common enemy, Daniel and Johnny decide to start working together while Kreese looks to the past for a new ally of his own. And let me shout out the writers of the series, because again, this is the Spun Today Podcast, and if I don't shout out the writers, who will? Josh Heald, John Hurwitz, Robert Mark Kamen, Hayden Schlossberg, Michael Jonathan Smith, Mattia Green, Alyssa Forleiter, Bill Posley, Stacey Harmon, Joe Pierulli, Luann Thomas, Bob Dearden, Jason Belleville, Kevin McManus, and Matthew McManus. This was another, I thought, really good season. Each season is better than the last, and of course checks off the nostalgia box, being a story that takes place in the Karate Kid universe, but also being based on an 80s franchise and movie, or series of movies rather. There was always some cheesiness to it, but I feel like each season is a little less cheesy than the last, which definitely helps. Then you couple that with characters like Johnny's, which is very not PC, and then that kind of compounds and cancels out some of the cheesiness, because he's a little over the top with certain things, and it's oh shit, that's so hilarious. So yeah, definitely an entertaining watch. And speaking of some of the funny things that Johnny said throughout this season, I wrote down a few. Here they are, in no particular order. Johnny takes his team, or part of the team that he's training, because at this season, Johnny Lawrence's character, played by William Zabka, and Daniel LaRusso's character, played by Ralph Macchio, joined forces because the old Cobra Kai sensei, John Kreese, played by Martin Kove, pretty much stole Cobra Kai from Johnny and teamed up with Terry Silver, played by Thomas Ian Griffith, which was an old war buddies of Kreese's. And if you guys remember from the Karate Kid, I think it was part 2, was a sensei, the dude with the black ponytail hair. They kind of manipulated Daniel into going against Miyagi training, and he didn't know the whole time he was actually on Kreese's side. Anyway, he teamed up with that dude. So Johnny and Daniel joined forces and dojos to compete against him, and they had a bet, or a gentleman's agreement, if you will, that if they won the tournament, being Daniel and Johnny, that Cobra Kai would shut down and leave town. And the same applied vice versa. But anyways, during training and throughout the series, I just wrote down a few hilarious things that I found hilarious at the time. Might not be as funny now, although they might be, that Johnny said. So he takes his students to this abandoned warehouse place where he's doing some of his training, and he tells one of them, don't breathe too much, there's black mold in the corner. And I thought that was funny, and still do. Then, in speaking about the tournament rules changing and them incorporating a women's division, he's like, what's this about a fucking women's division? They should man up and take a punch like the rest of us. Fucking Johnny, man. Oh, this was fucking hilarious. So Daniel's son in the series, he played a larger role this season, but it seems like they were phasing him out, because it was all about his daughter. In terms of his family, it was more about his wife and his daughter when it came to family stuff, and his son was kind of a background character. I thought they were gonna just write him off, to be honest, or something. But anyway, he played a bigger role this season, and he was a younger kid, chubby kid in the previous 3 seasons, and in this one he apparently went through a growth spurt, but in real life, as child actors do. But Johnny Lawrence is in Daniel's house with his girl, and they're all there for dinner, and Johnny goes to the kitchen. He's throwing a plate away or something like that, and Anthony LaRusso, the son, walks by, and he looks at Johnny, he's like, what the hell, what are you doing here? And Johnny's pretty much I was invited, who the hell are you? And then he kind of catches himself, and he's like, wait, are you the son? And he goes, what did you do, switch to Whopper Juniors or something? And then Anthony just responds, it's called a growth spurt, you dipshit. And then there's another scene with they try to recruit girls, because the tournament changed its rules and incorporated this women's division and some like skills training and like stuff like that. So it wasn't just straight fighting. So you could accumulate points in different ways. So to be able to compete at those different levels, they had to like recruit females for the women's division and, you know, people that just had like different skills, not just fighting, you know, like nunchuck skills, like Napoleon Dynamite, etc. I actually rewatched that the other day with my wife and still holds up. Fucking hilarious. But anyway, so this like new girl joins the team and she introduces herself to everybody and you know, on her first day, and she's like, my pronouns are she and her. And then Johnny goes, the only pronouns we use here are sensei and student. And then she responds, those aren't pronouns. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I meant quiet. And just fucking yells at her. Shit like that is it like balances out the cheesiness for me. I don't know, I like it. I get a kick out of it. Then switching gears here, I wrote some notes on the mom's character, Daniel LaRusso's wife, which is Amanda LaRusso, played by Courtney Hengler. She is the voice of reason in like all situations, with Daniel, with the kids, with the other senseis when she bumps into them like in the supermarket, seemingly like breaking the fourth wall. And, you know, even for us to kind of like say, yeah, this shit doesn't make sense what we're seeing here. Fucking a sociopathic sensei that just beat up a kid and stuff like that. That shit ain't normal. You know, she's like always a mom throughout the series, even with helping out the girl with that fucking beat up her daughter at the end of last season, and like trying to help her with her social worker and trying to give her like motherly kind of advice, you know, being like the adult in the room. What else? I have here Robbie Keane. Robbie Keane's character, which is played by Tanner Buchanan, continues to be, like, in my opinion, going to be like a breakout star from this series. He definitely has like that it factor. But there's this new kid in this season called Kenny Payne, played by Dallas Young, who also I feel has like that like star quality it factor. And he plays the role of the kid that gets bullied by Daniel LaRusso's son Anthony, which I spoke about earlier. He's like a new kid in school, and Anthony gets kind of like peer pressured into like bullying him with the rest of his friends. And then that kid winds up like joining Cobra Kai, and Robbie's character kind of takes him under his wing and looks out for him. And we see his character arc play out in like interesting ways. And the show does a great job, I think, of like ratcheting up tension with things like this. For example, where Daniel LaRusso, who is the quote unquote, you know, good guy of the series, his son is the one bullying this kid who is just like joining Cobra Kai and learning how to fight for himself to protect himself. But that, you know, good kid that's being bullied, he's on the Cobra Kai side of things. And Daniel LaRusso's own son, which is, you know, the Miyagi-Do side of things, the quote unquote good guys, is the one responsible there. Or how Miguel's character, who is Johnny's, Miguel Diaz, played by, I have no idea how to pronounce his first real name, Xolo, Xolo Maridueña, how he starts getting closer to Daniel LaRusso instead of his sensei, who, you know, he's his number one guy, his protege in Johnny. And then Sam, which is Daniel LaRusso's daughter rather, and like his number one protege, starts getting closer with Johnny. Then how Robbie Keane's character tries to teach some Miyagi-Do at Cobra Kai, you know, and he's like the number one dude at Cobra Kai, but he came from Miyagi-Do originally, and he's like on the low trying to show some of his teammates some Miyagi-Do, you know, defense karate. And like I mentioned earlier, Tori Nichols, played by Peyton List, getting help from Amanda LaRusso. And the show does a interesting way of like ratcheting up tension in this way. Something else that was interesting character-wise in this season was Hawk's character did a complete 180. He got, by his old team, got like jumped and got his mohawk cut off. He wound up like, he felt like that was his like identity or whatever, and he wound up quitting karate and then wound up coming back to karate, but on the Miyagi-Do side. And Robbie's character, by the way, has major fucking like Anakin Skywalker vibes, you know, like the number one dude on the good side turns to the bad side, and then he's torn always between the good and the bad side. It was interesting. It was good. It was a good season, and it wound up ending with a climax between Terry Silver's character and John Kreese's character, where like in the beginning, Terry comes in and he's like this rich guy, and this, you know, students of John Kreese's students starts like gravitating towards him, and he seems to have like the upper hand or whatever to Kreese, but he kind of like patronizes Kreese, and he's like, yeah, this is your class, you know, of course, yeah, you know, I was just teaching them this and that, whatever. But Kreese quickly checks him and, you know, reminds him that he like saved his life when they were in war, and that's like a kind of dynamic within their relationship that can't change seemingly. But then we see by the end of the season, in the climax of the season, how fucking warped this fucking Terry Silver guy is, and he pretty much played some 3D chess with Kreese and wound up framing him and getting him arrested for assaulting Stingray, which was a character from a previous season that went to go visit Cobra Kai. He had been like kicked out. He's like this older guy that wants to like hang around with them and like be down basically. And Terry Crews basically fucked up Stingray in the dojo with nobody else around, and then made it so that when the authorities asked him, and he did so by like promising Stingray like that he could be down with Cobra Kai or whatever, but that when he came to in the hospital and the authorities asked him who assaulted him, he would say it was John Kreese. So then at the end of the season, we see John Kreese getting arrested and Terry Silver just completely unraveling. And then it's revealed that Cobra Kai, which wound up winning the tournament on points with Samantha LaRusso losing to her arch nemesis, Tori Nichols, by points and some shit that the referee didn't call. Tori's character overhears Terry Silver speaking on the phone to the referee that he had paid off to make sure that they won. And that's how the season ends. Dum dum dum. But yeah, it was a dope watch. Cobra Kai season 4 streaming now on Netflix. Check it out.